They buffed Zap? Are you kidding me?
What?
I know, right? I saw the
What?
first thing and I was
Okay,
like,
hold
Why?
on. Why? Why did they do that? That's so unnecessary. Everybody always asks me, "What are your predictions for the patch notes?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Do you think anybody knows what the heck is going through Nintendo's minds about why they would make these kinds of decisions? Why would they do that? I don't know. Who predicted an NZAP damage buff?" This would not, in fact, be Gem's greatest cause for disappointment in the patch notes. Alrighty, patch notes are out for update 6.1.0, which will be releasing, and by that we mean, I believe, the download goes out on the 24th. I think that this doesn't go live yet, but that we get it at that time. But I was streaming earlier when the patch notes came out, and I generally try to keep the reactions blind so that I can make this video. But the one thing that did get told to me is this. And so we're already off to a really bad start. They buffed the NZAP damage numbers. This is so unnecessary. So unnecessary. I can't see why this felt needed. Maybe they were like, well, we're seeing more pencil now, but like, okay, so nerf the pencil, because the pencil's the best weapon in the game at the moment. But very, very confusing. We will be getting the Mincemeat Metalworks rework. That hasn't looked super promising based on what I've seen. I feel like it doesn't address the real problems with the map, but I'm willing to be to have my mind changed there. Mind you, they did actually already change Mincemeat, and it still didn't change anything effectively. It's still Mincemeat. So, okay, let's see. Maybe there's something redeeming in here. Let's see what we've got. We've got Dynamo Roller, widened the angle at which horizontal swings deal max damage. That is potentially a big deal. This isn't the hitbox buff that they really need. What they really need is just for it to be like kind of consistent looking. But this is going to help. This is definitely going to help a lot. I'm very curious to see, especially the vanilla Dynamo, as long as they don't touch Tacticooler, how well that's going to be doing in future. Gold Dynamo, I don't know. It kind of sort of, chumps are just kind of weak right now. If they buff chumps, like, it could definitely be a strong weapon. Just they're not in the right place for it right now, unless again special changes change that. Fling's basically the same buff, so it looks like maybe there was something about the rollers that's maybe there was some kind of like hitbox bug that they're trying to address here, or maybe this is just across the board they're not seeing as much roller play, and so they're trying to give them some kind of extra benefit. Reduce the amount of time it takes for ink to begin recovering for vertical swing. Ooh, okay. That's a pretty significant amount. This might help their... So this affects their ink efficiency, basically. And will make it so that, for example, they're probably able to charge missiles faster. So that's worth considering. I don't know if that's enough to, run them over a reflux for missile spam, but that could be something. Worth checking out at least, because it's going to improve their combat and their ability to get the missiles. Like, that's a lot of the kit that's better. So that's worth giving a shot to, I think. Ink Brush. Increased movement speed while holding ZR. Oh, okay, so they'll zip around faster. That's a cool buff, actually. I like that. Because it's buffing a part of their kit that is, like, very much their unique niche in the game. Like, that's a great way to do a buff, to take the thing that they're better at than anything else in the game and make that better. I like that. Reduced amount of ink consumed while holding its paint. So they're just generally buffing that so you can do it for longer and you move faster while you're doing it. That is cool. That will maybe hurt some people in low clam blitz ranks where they already struggle to hit those as they try to run in with a power clam, and now it'll just be even harder to hit them there. But I think from a competitive standpoint, that's a cool buff and might actually do something to help it. We'll see. Splatbrella reduced the amount of ink consumed while firing a shot by 13%. Crazy ink efficiency buff. And that, I think, is something that helps it a lot in a lot of ways. Because, like, ink efficiency is something that affects its ability to use its shield. You run out of time on the shield once you run out of ink. And it also, its paint was kind of mediocre, but this might make it better because you have to refresh your ink less often. So there's some things that could definitely... like, this is going to get inkjets faster on the Sorella kit. So that's worth looking into as well. I'm liking some of these buffs. I don't think it makes up for buffing NZAP. I think that just... If anything, that just makes me mad because it makes me feel like the developers don't understand what's going on in their game. Like, how are you that far off base to think that is the weapon that needed that kind of attention? But these other ones, I'm cool with so far. Undercover, when they hold ZR to fire, they will now be able to jump higher. Will that mean that you can, like, jump up steps while holding the Brella up the whole time? That would be cool. And that is a really nice... I love these, like, gain of function buffs that they're giving to weapons so that they don't have to, like, change their niche or their, like, main weaknesses or anything, but they're able to give a little bit of extra something to it. That's not going to make them like a high tier or even a mid tier weapon, but that is definitely a cool thing for them to be able to mess with. And it makes sense, it being the lightweight weapon, lightweight version of the Brella, that it would be able to be more maneuverable. So that's cool. I like that. Again, probably not enough, but it's the sort of thing that, if you build up enough buffs of that nature, that it might get to a point where it's actually going to be functional again. Squeezer increased the amount of ink consumed by the first shot by approximately 9%, so big ink consumption nerf. Slightly decreased the number of spray droplets created by shots fired while holding. Wow, so they're hitting its paint output in a big way here. And that's not a bad way to attack it. It still maintains its ability, like, strong midline capabilities, its ability to splat people, but you're sacrificing a lot more in the ink department. This thing it's approaching the sort of ink efficiency that you get out of, like, a blaster at this point. Like, it's really not that great in terms of paint. It's kind of becoming a paint liability now with all of that stuff happening to it. So that could have a significant impact on its competitive use. We'll have to see. Ballpoint increased the scatter of shots fired on land at the longer flight range. So they made your aim RNG worse when using the long range mode, which is a significant nerf because that's the mode that you're generally just using for combat. You're much more likely to use, I think, the short range mode to put paint on the ground and get your special. So that mode, it's fine to have the aim RNG, and the ballpoint likes that. It doesn't like having the aim RNG on the long range mode. So this is a nerf to the ballpoint, which I think is deserved. This is one of the two backline weapons that have been really giving every other backline trouble and making it very difficult for any other backline to kind of have a niche. The problem is that they haven't addressed the snipe rider yet, and so if they don't touch the tacticooler, they have not fixed anything here by making the ballpoint weaker. If anything, if this has any significant impact, and I'm not sure that it will, but if it has any significant impact, it's only making the snipe rider stronger and more polarizing and making it more necessary. So I'm a little bit worried. I need to see a tacticooler nerf here for this to really be for the best, I think. Okay, Stampers reduced the width of spray droplets created by charging slashes by approximately 10%. So big painting nerf. And that's fine. I think this weapon is still going to be strong. It's still going to be used. It's just, it has a little bit more of a paint weakness now in a very similar way to the Squeezer. If you're going to want to pick one of these long-range midline weapons now, you're going to have to do so at the expense of some paint, which I think is an expense that a lot of people are willing to put up with, but it will probably change some team compositions. It'll probably make some people flex onto different weapons now. Okay, moment of truth. This is the special weapon changes. If I don't see a tactical or nerf here, I'm probably just going to say straight up that I don't like this patch. If we get that, then we could be in pretty good shape, but I could see this patch actually polarizing the game more towards the tactical or playstyle than it already was, which is crazy because that special is like mandatory right now on every team comp. So, okay. So, Wavebreaker. When placed, enemies around it will be marked for a short period. Enemies around it. Oh, on the placement of it. Okay. The Wavebreaker has needed a buff. It has kind of been power crept out of the meta over time. This will be huge for Range Blaster because Range Blaster is still seeing significant use, and that will give it a little bit of extra utility. Now, this isn't huge because you can't throw the Wavebreaker very far, so if somebody is there to be marked at short range, you're probably already in trouble, and having them marked probably isn't enough to save you. But it is nice that it's seeing at least some positive attention. And we've got a change to Ink Storm. Damage taken while within the area of effect of your own team's Ink Storm will recover more quickly, even when not submerged in ink. Oh, wow. This is a support special now. This makes it so that this is like built-in healing. Damage taken while within the area of effect of your own team's Ink Storm. That's super cool. I don't think they... Inkstorm was already pretty solid, and this is a significant buff. This is going to make the Inkstorm pencil look more attractive. And this is also going to buff Nautilus. I really like the idea. I wonder if it was necessary. Because it was already a pretty solid special. Like, I don't think anyone is ever, like, super complaining about having an Inkstorm. Huh. That is interesting, though, because that could... If that becomes particularly useful, like, that might just become a meta special as opposed to being a solid special. Interesting. Oh, that is the end of the special weapon changes. There is no tactical or change. Okay, hear me out. They address the Snipe Rider and the Zap and give him 240p. How about that? I'd be cool with that. It says special points. Neo Sploosh is getting a buff. That, I mean, the weapon needs a buff, but 10 points per special is not going to change anything, especially since it's only getting Whale, which is not super high priority right now. Forge Pro is down to only 200. They could probably put that thing to 190, and it would still be fine. But that is a good direction for that to go. Luna Blaster, gonna get its Zipcaster faster. That's fine. That's good. Bamboo, again, Killer Whale, not a super high priority special, so not a huge problem there. Zinc Mini, gonna get a Bubbler faster, so that actually does have a pretty significant impact on its playstyle. That's something that you basically are running a Zimmy for. Splattershot, this is a good change. I play this weapon. We don't need to get Trizukas that fast. This is a good nerf. This is fine. Okay, Zap, 10 points. 10 points per special more. And they didn't touch the pencil! Why? That is the #1 tactical weapon in the game. They nerfed so many other tactical weapons, but they didn't touch the pencil. Why? Have they not been watching any competitive play recently? Good. Maybe it's not seeing a lot of competitive play in Japan. I don't know. But, like, it's so dominant right now. Everybody's using it on, like, most top-level teams. And of all of the cooler weapons, like, that's the one that they don't touch? Like, they're so close to getting it, but this is only going to polarize things more in favor of the Snipe Rider. The Snipe Rider just got out like a bandit on this patch. Like, it got completely untouched. A lot of its major competitors got nerfed. Like, basically, like, all of the meta weapons, off the top of my head, like, got nerfed. Like, Splattershot got nerfed, and granted, these may not be huge nerfs, but, like, Splattershot got nerfed, the Stampers got nerfed, the Zap got nerfed, the Squeezers got nerfed. So, like, a lot of the major, like, most popular weapons right now, not all of them, but a lot of them, got nerfed. Which is good. But then that one that is, like, the most ubiquitous is the one that goes untouched. It's just Snipe Rider meta this season. Unless something else huge comes out of the woodwork. Like, maybe, like, one of these things ends up, one of the buffs ends up actually putting something into the meta. But, like, I'm not counting on that happening. Super, super disappointing. So we are not free. We are not free from the tyranny of the Snipe Rider. I'm going to run through the other changes just to see if there was anything else that was interesting there. But then we'll do the wrap up at the end. Okay, nothing significant there at all. I like a lot of the changes, but the fact that this happened and Snipe Rider didn't get touched are really, really bad. I think that genuinely moves the top level metagame in a not so great direction, where as for cooler options, like, okay, maybe Dynamo's a little better, but all of this variety here got nerfed, and that would be fine and that would be good if the Snipe Rider, the main candidate for your cooler weapon right now, also got nerfed. But it went completely untouched. It's going to be the best cooler option still, and it's going to be more the best cooler option than it ever has been before. So everyone's going to have to pick up Snipe Rider. Ballpoint is nerfed, and like Ballpoint is one of the main competitors that backline weapons tend to use over the Snipe Rider in some specific scenarios, and that's even though the Snipe Rider does kind of counter it as a main weapon. But like at least there were some spots like Manta, for example, where you actually wanted the ballpoint, but like now the answer is just Snipe Rider. I've honestly genuinely feel bad for like the backline weapons on a team right now, because I feel like they just got a lot of variety robbed from them by the way that this is going to play out. I think that there are cool things happening for some other weapon classes here that's definitely needed some attention. Like, I like that they're giving buffs to like these borderline weapons like Flingza and Inkbrush, which are like, you can run them. It's just kind of hard at top level, and I feel like maybe we might see more of them now, which might give a little bit more variety, but the king of the castle is still the Snipe Rider. We're still going to be seeing a lot of that, and it's going to be harder to fight now because a lot of the answers to the Snipe Rider, like one of the answers to Snipe Rider right now is shoot a Zuka at it. You know, get it down before it can initiate a push. Poke at it with like a Stamper, because a Stamper is good at attacking those things from range. And now that's getting nerfed a little bit. Like, we've basically just like cleared the way out of a lot of the top tiers by a little bit. We've made it just a little bit easier for the Snipe Rider to exist without actually nerfing the Snipe Rider to take it down proportionally to the rest of it. Well, maybe we'll see more Zap as an alternative to it as well, and maybe that'll give the backliners some freedom back. But I don't know, with the points to special nerf on the end Zap, like it feels like it's almost kind of like a step forward and a step back in terms of the damage and then the points for special. Right now I'm pessimistic. Right now I'm disappointed. I'm happy for all the people who have these weapons. I'm not happy for the way that top-level play is going to end up looking. Sorry for the bad news on that, and I hope I'm wrong, and I'm very interested to see other people's takes on it, but that's what I'm thinking on my first impressions here. So we'll see how it ends up looking once the the patch actually comes out and we get our hands on it.